All right, welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right into this, because we all have this image in our heads of the classic American dream home. You know the exact one I'm talking about. It's spacious, it's inviting, and it usually has this pristine, perfectly decorated guest room just waiting for visitors. It really feels like the ultimate symbol of having made it. But what if I told you that this very picture of success might actually be a massive financial trap? Today, we are deconstructing a total illusion that is keeping so many of us stressed out and financially drained.
So I've got to ask you directly, are you currently paying the hidden guest room tax? It's this silent, sneaky fee that you might literally be paying every single month without even realizing it. It's a concept that sits right at this fascinating intersection of math and human psychology, and it honestly reveals why we've collectively decided to turn our lives into financial stress simulators.
I mean, we've all been there, right? Picture the scene. It's midnight, the house is completely quiet, and you're scrolling through real estate listings on Zillow. You keep purposely hitting that filter for at least 3 bedrooms. And why do we do this? Well, because you want to be the kind of person who has space for guests. You picture buying a whole house just for hypothetical visitors and their decorative pillows. You tell yourself this extra room is a really smart investment in your family and your social life. But while you're busy romanticizing all that extra square footage, you are missing a massive hidden expense.
Section 1. The Success Mirage. Let's look at how we're rebranding desperation.
We have essentially taken financial desperation and just rebranded it as adulting. We've somehow convinced ourselves that stretching our budgets to the absolute breaking point for a bigger house is just a totally normal rite of passage. But look at the reality of what we're dealing with here. The guest room tax means that for most people living in a standard $500,000 house, that vacant extra room is quietly costing them at least $400 every single month. You are quite literally bleeding your future dry just to maintain an empty space.
Moving on to Section 2, doing the brutal math. Let's uncover those hidden costs your real estate agent probably doesn't want to talk about.
Okay, let's say that extra guest room adds a conservative $50,000 to the purchase price of your home. The absolute crucial point to understand here is that you aren't just paying for that room once at the closing table. No way. You are paying for it every single month in the form of a larger principal, much higher interest, increased property taxes, and skyrocketing insurance premiums. So that initial $50,000, it transforms into this heavy, recurring monthly penalty.
But wait, because it actually gets worse. The real silent killer here is the 1% maintenance rule. The math says that on a $500,000 home, you should be budgeting about 1% of the home's total value. So that's $5,000 a year just for basic repairs. Broken down, that is $417 every single month you need to set aside for the inevitable moment your water heater explodes or the roof starts leaking. Simply put, more square footage equals more maintenance.
So when you combine the mortgage costs, the taxes, the insurance, and the maintenance, you suddenly realize you are paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month for a room that, let's be totally honest, sits completely vacant 360 days a year. Your noble desire to be a good host for maybe 5 days out of the year has actually trapped you in a poverty tax, and it's actively keeping you in financial survival mode.
Section 3. The psychological toll and the reality of biological panic.
I want you to consider this stark number. 46%. When nearly half of your take-home pay is swallowed up by housing costs alone, a really fascinating and frankly terrifying thing happens to your body. Your brain actually shifts into a biological state of panic. You're not just budgeting anymore, your nervous system is literally treating your mortgage like a physical predator. We're talking daily cortisol spikes. Your mental bandwidth gets completely consumed by these immediate perceived threats. You absolutely know the feeling, lying awake in the dark at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, doing frantic mental math just trying to figure out if you can afford both your upcoming grocery bill and the mortgage payment. Which brings us to this incredibly powerful quote from our source material. You're becoming a prisoner in your own home. Think about that. You aren't building equity in that dusty guest room. You are working a job you might absolutely hate, logging 10 extra hours a week just to pay for walls that you are way too stressed out to even appreciate.
Section 4. The Hospitality Trap and the Power of No. Think about it like this. On one hand, you have the reality we just calculated. A $400+ continuous grinding monthly cost just to maintain a vacant guest room. But on the other hand, what if, for those few times a year when your parents or your friends actually do visit, you just paid for them to stay in a nice hotel down the street? When you actually do the math, Paying for a few nights at a hotel is drastically cheaper than financing an extra bedroom for 30 years.
And here is where the story gets really exciting. This is where we get to change the rules of a rigged game. Rejecting the normal housing path, that isn't a failure. It is actually the most romantic and courageous thing you can possibly do for your future. It's all about choosing your own peace of mind over the appearance of having it all together.
Section 5, Real Wealth is Freedom. It is time to reclaim your money.
So here is your freedom roadmap. Step 1 is making the active choice for a smaller, truly affordable home and reclaiming that $400 a month guest room tax. Step 2 is using those exact savings to quickly hit your first major cash milestone of $10,000. And then Step 3 is riding that incredible momentum to reach the $20,000 threshold. Let's break down exactly why these specific steps matter so much.
When you hit that $10,000 milestone in your savings, your entire life changes. Suddenly, a blown tire, a random car repair, or an unexpected medical bill is no longer a life-ruining catastrophe. It's just a minor annoyance. You transition from constant financial panic to having actual breathing room. And the amazing part? Your body literally responds by lowering your stress hormones. You can finally start thinking strategically about your life instead of just constantly reacting to the next crisis.
And if you keep going with those savings from the extra room, you hit this magical $20,000 threshold. In our sources, this is referred to as your walking away money. This is the exact moment your financial boulder finally crests the top of the hill and starts rolling down the other side.
Having this walking away money gives you a total secret superpower. You can show up to work every single day knowing you are no longer a captive audience. You aren't trapped by a toxic boss, and you aren't chained to an unreasonable mortgage. You get to navigate life and negotiate your salary from a position of absolute strength and confidence, rather than quiet desperation. And ironically enough, that confidence usually leads to even more money and better opportunities.
So, we really need to redefine our goals here. Real wealth isn't an extra bedroom that you can't even afford to furnish. Real wealth is freedom. It is the deep, restorative peace of mind that only comes from having actual margin in your monthly budget. When you are looking for your next place, stop looking at what the bank says you qualify for and start looking at what will actually allow you to live your life.
Which leaves us with this final, essential question for you to really ponder. Will you have the courage to say no to the vacant room so you can finally say yes to your own independence? It's time to build a foundation that actually sets you free. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this helps you completely rethink your next big financial move.